Welcome to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. And today is going to be a really good one because we have Bridget and Jay Modglin, who are recognized industry experts with Kentwood Real Estate in beautiful Denver metro area, Colorado. And they've been featured in top media outlets, American Dream TV, Inman News, Business Insider, and more. Well, they are YouTube experts, folks. We'll put a link in the show notes because they have grown their YouTube followers to over 3,600. in 8 months, and how has AI assisted them? We're going to get into all of that with Bridget and Jay. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so how's Denver at this time of the year?
It's beautiful. It's cool in the mornings, gets hot, and then it cools back down. It's such a great place.
Our daughter was in the pool last night, so can't
There you go. That's a good reason to be in the pool for sure. So the listening audience, I'd love for them to get to know you both a little bit in terms of your journey in real estate. So if you can take a little time and kind of give us your background, share what did you do before and how did you get into real estate? And obviously you're very successul to the point of today. So take it away.
Thanks. Well, I guess
Go
I'll
ahead. You can start.
So I've been in real estate since 98, pretty much out the gate started in real estate. I did do retail and then a little bit of insurance to start, but started in 98. I actually worked for a large REIT, real estate investment trust, for people who don't know what that is. It was a really large company, Equity Residentials, worked for them for about 8 years. Leasing all the way up to management. And then in 2005, decided to get my license and start selling instead of leasing, but always kept the property management and leasing in my back pocket because we still use that. We don't do property management, but we still do leasing for residential and commercial. And so, and had my own brokerage. I hung my license with my dad. He's been in real estate, and then opened our own brokerage and did that for a while, about 12 years, and then joined Kentwood in 16.
That's awesome. How about you, Jay?
So my dad was in mortgage lending for most of my early years growing up. So I was always involved in hearing about home purchases, home refinances when the market was up, when the market was down. And so my dad was, when I got to the age of getting a real job, my dad was a manager for a subprime lender company. And that was kind of my first forte into it. So doing subprime loans when, a great rate for subprime was in the 8%. And so we're kind of back to what I started with. It's kind of interesting. And so then did that for a few years. And as Fannie and Freddie started loosening up on their guidelines and they started encroaching a little bit into our subprime market, I said, I'm going to take a break here. Got into construction sales and construction management for a while. And then Bridget got her license. I got my license in 07. Yeah. So you got yours 06. I got mine 07. And really kind of that's where it took off for us. And like Bridget said, property management, things like that. We even got into HOA management, and we had 5,000 doors at one point doing HOA management, and sold off that division of our company back in, I think it was 2016. And just kind of from there was focusing on property management, sales, leasing. And now, like Bridget said, it's residential, commercial property, residential real estate, sales and leasing.
Nice. It's interesting. It looks like you both have connections to real estate, like your dad, and in your case, Bridget, and you're sort of on the mortgage side, a little bit closer as an industry wise, and you mentioned interest rates. So I bought my house in 2001, and people don't have, and I paid points to get to 7.5.
Yeah.
So sometimes, people don't have, I think we've been spoiled with COVID rates, right?
Yeah.
It's like just, but anyhow, that's great stuff. So, I wanted to kind of understand, it's almost 2 years since the time, this Thanksgiving, it's going to be 2 years since ChatGPT came out.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own aha moment with the first time you use it. Oh my God, it can do that. So I'm curious, what was your individual aha moment the first time you felt like, oh my God, this can help me a lot? What was that moment for you both?
Well, mine was listing descriptions.
Yeah.
That was always something I love to do. I love to write and love to describe the home. But to cut down time for doing that, and we are heavy on the listing side. We do a lot of listings a year. I did not want to give that up, and so I still wanted to be a part of that. And so cutting that down was a game changer. And still being my voice, and but adding things that I wouldn't have necessarily added, and was great. And then also for our video content, we're really into YouTube, and so helping with the scripts and the video content and what to talk about was really helpful. So
Yeah. So your first was listing description. So we'll get into the video stuff a little bit more in terms of how you're using it and how much time. And how about you, Jay?
So mine was, again, the video description, or the listing descriptions. That was kind of her aha moment, and it was like I started seeing that. I didn't really start using it until, we really, part of our marketing and stuff is not only just our listings, but it's our newsletters, it's our blogs and stuff like that, and to try to come up with content, to try to come up and have something important to say in a blog, even, or a newsletter. And so I think I do very well communicating verbally. And so for me to sit down and write a blog and to try to get from what's in my head down to paper has always been more challenging for me. And so, it probably, if I were to had written a blog myself, it probably would have looked like a fourth grader wrote it. And, probably wasn't going to be able to convey exactly what I wanted to convey. And so my first aha moment was I can go in and type in pretty much what I wanted to say into ChatGPT, and what it created was 80% of me, but then tweaked it a little bit, I think, to make it more presentable, to make it more concise, or to take my ramblings and to bring it into something that was very direct, and to pinpoint what I was trying to convey. And so for me, that was it. So that was through newsletters and through blogs.
Yeah. So Bridget, interesting you say that you like writing. I think you're in the minority in real estate agents. Most people aren't trained they have writer's block. Jay talked a little bit about that. And I think the amount of time it can save you and amplify and do the things you enjoy doing. Sometimes AI can help you with the things you hate doing that you need to do, right? And make you look good while doing it, right? So as we dive in, you guys have a vibrant YouTube channel. We've been talking YouTube in our recent meetings and stuff like that. And so when you made the commitment to, hey, we want to double down on YouTube, and in 8 months, you got to 3,600 plus subscribers and growing. And then obviously it requires content. Jay, you sort of alluded to it a little bit. Let's kind of dig into that a little bit in terms of how is AI assisting you in the process of creating these videos? There's a lot that goes on in there. So kind of let's get into it.
So really it started with what are people interested in? And so we just started by asking, ChatGPT, what content do people want to know about in real estate? And but really it comes back to where we started, where was just our listings, getting our listings out there. And so I would take the description that I wrote for the listing, and we would do an intro and outro for the listing, and then do the voiceover. And we still do that today, the voiceover of the property with that, with that content. And we dive into a lot about the history. We love talking about the history of the property. We do a lot of downtown Denver loft properties. That's a lot of what we sell. And so we talk about the deep, history of the building. And so that's really where we got started, was just take what you already have. If you're a listing agent, which we are, and make a video. And so ChatGPT has been really great with helping us with that. But then if you want to talk about content,
yeah. So, it was like, great. We have an idea. We have a property. What do we talk about? Like, okay, we can walk through as realtors and talk about, look at these awesome hardwood floors, this beautiful gourmet kitchen with gas cooking. But, there's thousands of realtors out there doing that. How do we create a video that really adds something more? And that when we started doing, videos and YouTube, it was like, we want to put content out there that is a resource that is more than just a flashy, $2 million loft down in Denver. What else is around that? And so it was really great because we could fill in the missing, pieces of, okay, what is specific about this 1893 loft down in Denver that's 4,000 square feet. It's right by, some sporting stadiums. And what else is there? We can show all of that. And so really going into ChatGPT and part of what we've learned over the last about year and a half of using it, you have to be very specific or very intentional with what you put into the chat. It'll spit stuff out, but it reads more like an encyclopedia about that. And you're like, that's not who we are. Like, what's our heart? What are we really trying to convey? And so really the prompts that you put in, or being able to set up, okay, we're a realtor, this is what we're trying to sell. And really giving ChatGPT an idea of how the voice you're trying to create with it. And then that gave us content. And then we then take, okay, this is great. 80% of it's already done for us, but we need to go in there and we're going to tweak it and we're going to make it really stand out as this is Jay and Bridget, not this is ChatGPT with Jay and Bridget on the end of it.
Yeah, for sure. So, people are listening to this. There's several ways you could do to customize ChatGPT to be your voice, right? So a couple of easy ways. If you have the free version of ChatGPT, let's talk about the two different versions. Mm-hmm. Most people that are listening are probably using the free version. So there's something called custom instructions. So we did a whole episode on custom instructions. So you can go in there and kind of give it all the background information that you don't have to repeat every single time you use the prompt. So that's a great way to do it. Then as you get comfortable and you feel like $20 a month is the steal of the century with ChatGPT, right? Then you can go in, you still can use custom instructions, but I've built custom GPTs for specific things, right? Yeah. Video marketing, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But that's a great way. And you guys are listing agents. You talked a little bit about promoting properties. But as people are listening to this and they're just agents that may not have listings, you could do video on really anything and ChatGPT can help you. Mm-hmm. You could be a neighborhood expert without any listings.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you could talk and you could create video. And most people use ChatGPT at the basic level for text input to text output, right? But if you give it a link, let's say you see a nice article in Keeping Current Matters, whatever market data you follow, give it that link and ask it, give me a 60-second market video script. Boom, it spits it out. And you can quote that article, you sound like an expert, and you're killing it in video. So there's so many applications for this, right? So I think you just kind of touched on it. So let's kind of dig in a little bit more. Now that you've kind of focused on content creation, what else do you use AI for that kind of enables it to you amplify the content? Anything else you're doing around that?
Yeah, so some of we have tried the thumbnails for YouTube. Has not gone well so far. I think it's just crafting, you got to tell it what you want, but
you use Canva's AI.
So I use the thumbnails. Canva, which has a magic writer in it. So there is some AI in Canva I've been using more and more, and I really like it. There is, but we have used just the graphics, come up with, like, I did a Valentine's graphic and I was like, create a loft with a Valentine, decor. And it came up with a really cool one. It was like this beautiful loft and it had hearts all over it. It was, pretty well done. So that's been some, playing around with that. And then I'm just trying
How
to
about
think.
titles? Are you guys doing anything with titles,
Yes,
YouTube
Yeah.
yes,
titles, descriptions, and
yes.
tags?
Yes, all of that, all of that. And I
Yeah,
actually just created a couple days ago my own GPT
excellent.
and it was more for uh, lead, like just kind of lead follow
Follow.
up, more
Yeah,
general,
Yeah.
like, questions to ask, but, starting to use it. But yes, it's come up with some really good ones too.
Yeah, and another thing that the whole algorithms on how things get searched and what do you need to put in to get your videos seen. So
oh
we
yeah,
use ChatGPT for SEO optimization.
Mhm.
So create the tags that we need for our video of a loft in Denver, or we just shot some content in Winter Park, and so hey, send us or create some SEO optimized wording or things. And part of what we found with that too is it's the wording, the SEO optimization through our blog, through our video, through our listings. The more those tie together and there's consistency, Google loves that.
Mhm.
And so we try to, when we're writing the blog, we're saying make this SEO optimized with keywords regarding this. And then we try to take that with the video that maybe ties in with it. And then we try to take that with the listing description, because from my understanding with Google, and who knows analytics, but the more and more they see these keywords pop up, that pushes your ranking up higher in your search, in the search results.
yeah, for sure. So, we're recording this, and this is going to be on YouTube, and it'll be on podcast, all the streaming platforms. So I built a similar, Bridget, to your point. I built a video marketing GPT
Nice.
that I give it a topic, and it gives me 5 titles.
Yeah.
One is like an emotional hook, curiosity, and I pick one. Then it gives me the description. Then I agree on the description. Then it does the tags. So I think, to your point, anything, people that are listening to this, anything you do more than once, I feel like I should create a GPT for it.
Yep.
Because it fastens time and all of that. So cool. So anything else you're using AI for, even personally? I mean, I've used AI personally for a lot of things. Anything that stood out of the box?
I tried to create an assistant, my own personal assistant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so one of the things that we're starting to dive into with AI, and we're looking at our website is through Luxury Presence.
Yeah.
They're coming out with some really cool features. It's called Copilot, and which is more of an app-based thing, but it's an AI-generated app-based for lead follow-ups and touch-based.
Well, Copilot is
Copilot.
Copilot's more like we actually still use spreadsheets, which is crazy, but when we sign up, or when we have a buyer or and they're looking, we create a spreadsheet and put everything in it. So this new one is more like that in a beautiful app. So that's the Copilot, but they have the AI lead nurture.
That's what it was.
Is
Nice.
what they're, and that's creating Google ads. So it's something we're looking into, but
cool.
that is really something we're interested in.
Well, and then also our CRM is through KV Core.
Yeah.
And they're now doing some AI
Smart
lead
assistant.
follow-up.
Smart assistant. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So since you mentioned SEO, let me have you look into this, because I think this is also another way to sort of optimize your website and or YouTube video. So when you Google something, if you're listening to this, and you see someone else rank ahead of you, you can actually ask ChatGPT, probably even Perplexity is probably a little better, but AI can tell you why they're ranking better than you, so you can actually go fix it.
Nice.
So, I mean, right? It's cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff around SEO and AI, and this has been great. I mean, I think you guys are nailing the YouTube. You're learning more, and that's what I wanted to capture on this podcast, and this has been awesome. So, as we wind down, Jay and Bridget, I'd love for the audience, and I ask these questions of all my guests, to you've been in business for a long time. If you kind of go back on running your own brokerage and then now with Kentwood, what would you give one piece of advice to your younger self if you were to begin today?
Yeah, mine is hire a coach out the gate. Hire a coach and hire an assistant. That is, we're learning that through, just years and years of being in business. But coaching is really vital, and it keeps you accountable, every day, every week.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
Yeah, mine also is the coach, but then also when we got into the business, we hung our license under her dad. Great person, but his focus wasn't on buyers and sellers. His primary focus was property management, was HOA management, things like that. And so my advice would be hang your license under a great brokerage with a great managing broker, that when you come across issues or you have having a couple slow months, really somebody that's been there before you that can say, this is what I would do. So along with the coach, having it in-house too with your managing broker, or just a great brokerage that you have other agents around you that you can interact with too. So that was probably not a detriment to our side, because we had to learn the business. Basically, it was trial by fire for us, where I think we could have sped up our knowledge by having other people that we could have talked to about stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I mean, sometimes experience is the best teacher, only if it's somebody else's experience, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right. So that's awesome. So the last question is, I love to ask all my guests about a book or a podcast that has been the most impactful, that agents listening to this podcast should absolutely add that to their list.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So mine's actually the Bible. There's a lot of rich history and wisdom in the Bible. We're very, spiritual. And so I always go, and look back and say, what could I, what can I do? And how can I be, give back to my community and my clients, what's the best way to do that? So that's mine. I have a lot of books, but Audible is great.
Yeah.
But
how about you, Jay?
We read a lot or listen a lot on Audible. The nice thing about being a realtor, you're a lot of car time. So she took the best one out there, but I'll go back, years, and a book that I think every realtor, every entrepreneur should read is called The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy.
I have it.
And I think that just really helps prepare somebody for the ups and downs and being, self-employed basically, and what to expect and what not to overthink and things like that. And then as a follow-up with that one, it would be his other book called The Compound Effect, which is kind of like Atomic Habits. It's doing these things over and over. And so what's so important for self-employed people and realtors to do these little things that actually will over time add up to a lot down the road.
Yeah, that's great books. I mean, I've had those too. And as I start to do all of these podcasts and I discover the books, if I hear a book that I've not read, it goes on my list to read.
Yeah.
And Bridget, you mentioned the Bible and paying it forward to your community. And today's a great example. You guys are adding value to all our listeners. We have over 14,000 listeners across our podcast platforms, and they will get to see your journey. And if you are listening and you have a referral in the Denver metro area, I can't think of two better people to refer them to than Jay and Bridget.
Well, thank you.
So we'll include their contact in the show notes. Definitely their YouTube channel needs a new subscriber, because you should. And the beauty of YouTube, and you guys will agree, is that you can watch other people doing good stuff, and imitation is the best form of flattery sometimes. So follow them. Give them a follow, look at what they're doing so you can do better with your journey as well. So I want to thank you both for joining the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure.
Thank you so much.